It's time for another Three Blind Mice invitational. This time around, Lee, George, and Paul, the three blind mice, have selected the Hot Wheels Haulin gas casting that you see there. I happen to have one of these when they announced it, which worked out pretty well for me. I mean, obviously this isn't the best color, but, I had one, so it worked out great. Those of you who saw last month's build, I took the Porsche 917 and made it into a Batmobile. And so I had to come up with what I was going to do with this one, and I thought, well, the jet turbine engine on the Batmobile needs fuel. Just can't roll up to a gas station. So what would work better for Batman than having his own tanker? So I took it apart. I ended up throwing it in citrus strip. Looking around, I had two of these castings, actually. I've bought a bunch of lots off eBay, and I did that about a year ago. And sure enough, I had a couple of those in there, so couldn't beat that. So there were casting lines on this that needed to be removed. So while I'm doing that, I want to go back to last month's casting. Now, those of you who saw that video saw that I did a Batmobile, but I made some comments about the Batmobile that I mentioned that, it was based on the 60s Batmobile, but I didn't care for the bat on the 60s Batmobile and some of the other things. And I took some good-natured ribbing from some people on that. And one of them, one of my oldest and dearest friends, Philip, as he was watching the video, he had to send me a text message telling me that the 60s Batmobile was perfect. And I have to agree. I mean, I understood the comments that people were making. He sent me a bunch of messages, and they were all in good, clean fun. He sent me pictures of the Batmobiles he has in his collection. So I thought, well, if I'm going to do this one, I'll give in to those people, and at least I'll throw a bat on this. That way nobody else comes rolling up to this looking to be fueled up. That's Batman's tanker. So that's the thinking behind that. That's where I'm going with this one. And I was going to keep it that same 60s theme. I was going to throw the red bat on the sides with the white trim around the bat, that kind of thing. So that's where we're going. So had to clean this up. It seemed to have quite a few casting lines on it. None of them were really severe, but it just needed to be shined up. And, because of the shape of it, those casting lines, if you don't get rid of them, are really going to show up on this streamlined body. So I filed those off, used a Scotch-Brite pad, went on from there. I end up painting this with gloss black Rust-Oleum. This month I had gloss black. I had purchased some in the meantime since last month. So hit this with gloss black, and it worked out really well. It gave me the nice shiny finish that I wanted. There you see after I cleaned up the casting, have it looking nice and smooth. So anyhow, off camera, because I do rattle can everything, I hit it with the gloss black Rust-Oleum, and then I'm putting the details on. And I did it the usual way that I do these. I use the silver Sharpies to put down the base paint under these like turn signal indicators and that kind of thing. And then for like the turn signals and the brake lights, I use the Tamiya Clear. For the red striping and the other red details on this build, I used a combination of Citadel red paint on some occasions, but the bulk of it is actually the Molotow red paint pen. Same people that make the chrome pen that a lot of people use. And I actually end up using to detail some features on this later. They also make colored paint pens, and this one, the color I used was red, and so that's what I used to paint those lines around the body. Same as on last month's casting. This is very similar to last month. I followed a lot of the same processes because I was going for, in effect, the sister car. I had to strip this gold off, and I have to tell you, that was a bear. Usually Super Clean strips off chrome plating like that, and it took it over 24 hours. I ended up wanting different wheels on this, so I ended up getting another one of the Haulin gas castings. This one had real riders on a black base, so pulled that off, and I ended up using that in this case. There's the Molotow pin, and again, it works wonderfully. Doesn't seem to have the same problems that I have with the chrome, where the chrome, as you're using it, it dries very quickly. And so you have to be careful as you're using it. At times it seems like excessive amounts come out. This is more of a standard paint pen like all the others, kind of like the Sharpie paint pens. Not a lot of difference, but it works well. The pens work well for me in these kind of situations. So part of the plan, as I mentioned before, was to put bats on this. So what's happening prior to me doing this is I ordered off of eBay some larger scale, I think they were 1/24th scale Batman model decals that someone was selling. Those arrived before I started this casting. They looked like they'd be the appropriate size to drop in on the sides. I wanted something that would kind of fill the sides, the traditional red bat with the white trim. And so when they arrived, they were the basic, typical decals that you always see. I mean, the same ones I saw when I was growing up as a kid, particularly doing military models. Seemed like they always had like a blue backing paper, and, the decals were clear, on clear backing, and then on that blue backing paper. So those arrived. Everything looked like it was going to come together well. I almost didn't do these wheel wells in red, and then it just looked like something was missing. So I ended up adding that. So here, go through the usual process, throw down some microsol. I've got the decal over there to the right. You can't really see it, but I've already cut out the shape, and I've got it over there soaking. And you'll see here, I think the size works out well of the decal. Come on. And I go to slide it off. There you can kind of see the size. And wait a minute. What the heck? That's supposed to be clear behind it. Turns out that the person that produced these decals, they basically did a copy of the actual decals. But unfortunately, the actual decals were on a blue background. And so while they used clear decal paper, they printed the blue background. So I couldn't use the decals. It almost seemed like a voice from above, like there was another power that didn't want me to put bats on this either. And it didn't take much more than that nudge to say, nope, no bats. So for those of you who were hoping to see the bats, and yes, Philip, you too, and some others that have commented, there's no bats on this one. But I do think you'll recognize it as the Batmobile tanker. And I also received a comment on the last video that I wasn't going to comment during this, but I have to because it still cracks me up. There was someone that compared me to some other builders and then said something to the effect of, Mr. Chuckles, you can do better. Well, I have to say, that comment made me laugh. I don't know if that was the intended result. It probably wasn't, considering how kind of snarky that message was. But I've been around this rodeo long enough that kind of stuff doesn't bother me more than it makes me laugh. So I'm giggling my way through this one too. So there, here's where we ended up. I put detail on it. I ended up, when I did the lights on the top there, I originally had only done them in red, and then I thought, no, I'm going to put chrome on those too. I ended up doing the Molotow chrome pin for the back, for the exhaust on those, and then I used the Molotow red pin to hit the center caps on the wheels, just to give it a little more detail, and just a little more jazz to it. But I ended up with a pretty good companion piece. Yes, you saw me use gauzy. I have to say gauzy for those of you who are playing the game still. I don't want to disappoint you. Don't want to leave you hanging. So, it's the casting. There's not a lot to it. It goes together pretty easily. Again, I ended up getting another base for this one. Kind of half cheating, but hey, those real writers were already on it, so couldn't be happier how those wheels turn out. Those are exactly the wheels I wanted. So naturally, this thing, rolls beautifully. There's no axle tubes needed or anything like that. This was a very simple, straightforward companion piece to last month's build. I'd like to take this moment to thank the Three Blind Mice for holding these events. I really do appreciate them. Please check out their channels. I will have them listed below in the description for this video. And check out all the other builders. It's going to be interesting to see. I almost went with a Gasland style on this one. I was thinking about just popping that top out and having a big gun on top. But I ended up, because of things that had happened, decided to go with the companion piece for last month's Batmobile. So I hope you like that. There's where we started. And here's where we finished. The Bat Fuel vehicle. I guess I'm going to call it that. The Bat Fueler. Haulin Bat Gas. That doesn't sound good. Hope you like it. Hope you enjoyed this video. I promise you next month's Three Blind Mice will not be bat themed. There's some glamour shots here at the end. Thank you, everybody, for watching these. This was fun. I enjoyed doing the companion piece for it. To be honest, I got to tell you guys, those of you who did make the comments, I know they were in good spirit. I laughed at some of the comments that you guys made about the original Batmobile. And hey, I grew up seeing that too. So, I love that vehicle too. So there you go. Hope you enjoy this. Catch you next month in the next Three Blind Mice build. Everybody stay safe and healthy out there. Catch you in the next one.